Hi, my name is Daniel, and I'm going to start off when I was about 9 years old, because everything before that was kind of traumatic, and I choose to learn from that, but forget it, leave it behind, live in the moment, move forward. Anyway, I was living in Los Angeles. We just moved from Florida, and with my father, we lived in Venice and Key West, and we moved out to California, cross-country drive, and settled in Van Nuys, California, down in San Fernando Valley. And things didn't work out there too good, but I was kind of like doing my thing. I started taking drum lessons when I was about 9. This is like in the 50s when Twilight Zone was the big thing on TV. And I was going to Hazeltine Avenue School in Valley Drum City. And things kind of fell apart there, kind of fractured, severed. And my mother, father obviously were separated and divorced for a few years at that point. And we decided we wanted to go live with my mother. So I was off to San Francisco. That was in the late 50s. And we kind of settled in here with my mom and everything. And I had a stepfather who was a real disciplinarian, but as I look backwards, it was a good thing. He taught us how to play baseball and box and other sports and stuff. He was a college football guy. Anyway, San Francisco worked out pretty good, but I still felt displaced. But growing up, going to so many different schools, I kind of felt comfortable, sort of. I was used to that, kind of in a dysfunctional way. From there, I went into high school. I'm going to jump forward. In high school, there was a point, like in my junior year, when I just craved a motorcycle. And me and my mother and my stepfather went back and forth. They didn't want me to get it. And one day they were going down to Monterey for the vacation, and I couldn't find the bike I wanted at the dealer that was supplying the bike that I had my heart set on, color and everything. And on their way down to Monterey, they found it. It was in San Bruno. And I didn't know that they did this. They found my bike. They were going to surprise me and everything. I jumped in the car after they left and took off for Redding, California to see my girlfriend. So it kind of hit the fan when we got back, but they did put a deposit on the bike and everything kind of settled down. And there was one stipulation with my mother: you can have the bike under one condition, because I was in high school and I was going to ride it every day. You got to wear a helmet. So I would get on my bike, I'd be out on Burnett Street, and I knew she was watching me out the window. And I put the helmet on and everything. And she's watching me leave, for school. And as soon as I got around the corner, the helmet came off. So, but she didn't know, she never found out about that. It was pretty cool. So high school went pretty well. I was on the swim team, and we went all city in San Francisco from Lincoln High School. We used to call it Stinkin' Lincoln. And also on the baseball team, and I got my letter for that. That was kind of cool. And then everything kind of went in a wrong direction for me. I had big plans, just graduated high school. I was working 50 hours a week and carrying a full load at high school, working 7 days a week. That's how I bought the motorcycle. And that was in my senior year. And as soon as I graduated, got my ring and everything, Uncle Sam grabbed me by the back of the neck. It was 1968 when I graduated. And my number came up on the draft. There was a draft back then. So Uncle Sam had other plans for me. So not even a month after I graduated, I was in boot camp. Made my head spin. I had gone, when I got my draft notice, I went to Oakland to take the Army physical, because that's what they tell you to do. Went there, turn your head, cough thing, Came back the same day and went down to a Navy recruiter here in the city as soon as I got back across the bay. And I was really good in the sciences at school, you know, anatomy, physiology, biology, and all that. It came real easy to me. And I wanted to be in medicine. That was my hope for my future. And they promised me medical school, and I scored high enough on the test and everything. And I trusted I'd get that. I heard a lot of people got promises, you know, once they were in, it kind of like disappeared kind of thing. But I got my school. So I made it through boot camp. That was pretty rough. It was really physically abusive. It was unbelievable what they did to some recruits in there. It's pretty scary stuff. So I went to medical school at Balboa Naval Hospital in San Diego and worked in the surgical department for almost a year, and pediatric surgical special watch. And following that, they gave me orders to Vietnam. So it was off to Camp Pendleton because I was a Navy medic. The Marine Corps has no medics. The Navy supplies all the medical personnel for the Marine Corps. So it was off to Camp Pendleton for combat training, field medicine, medevac, helicopters, all that fun stuff. Did that for 2 months and got orders to the 5th MEB. That's a Marine Expeditionary Brigade. And it was kind of scary, but I was young, you know. I had opportunities to avoid the draft. I had people, connected people who could have taken me to Canada. But I faced the music and I went, you know, for my country. I figured that's my fate. I'm going to go and make the best of it. So I finished Camp Pendleton and I had orders to the 5th MEB. I was heading for Yokosuka, Japan for staging. And we stopped over in Hawaii, and a high-ranking officer, they actually picked us up in an open Jeep, like you see in the movies, at the airport. And it was New Year's Day. And there was a high-ranking officer, and he had the scrambled eggs on his cap and the whole bit. He says, "You come with me." I didn't know what was going on, and he ended up commandeering me, basically, because they needed personnel at the dispensary at the Marine Corps Air Station, Kaneohe, KMCAS, Kaneohe, let me get it right, Kaneohe Marine Corps Air Station, which is right next to Kailua, where President Obama grew up. That's his hometown. And so I got commandeered to work at the dispensary to do x-ray and medical screenings and anything you can think of medical. And I didn't end up going to Vietnam, even though I was trained and ready to hit the ground running. You know, sometimes I feel a little survival guilt about that because some of my friends went, and one of my brothers died over there, my brother Joe, and I felt a little survivor's guilt. So I finished my time with the 1st Marine Division at Kaneohe Bay, had a great time in Hawaii, and came back and went to Treasure Island for discharge, and that was the end of my military career, which is just as well because I really wasn't very compatible with that kind of authority. I was a bit of a rebel, still am. So everything worked out in that respect. I came out, I still continued to work in medicine, so it gave me a career. And I worked in ICU and orthopedics. I became an orthopedic tech, inhalation therapy, did all kinds of fun stuff in the hospital, CCU, ICU. It was a fun job. So the Navy did give me a career, just like my oldest brother, Tom, who was a Navy vet, who was on the SS Lake Champlain, which is a carrier in the Mediterranean. He was an electrical design engineer. And a fun story about him is him and his buddy were so smart at electronics. This is back in the 50s. They built a clock, a digital clock, with tubes, of course, that went backwards because they were both getting out at the same time. So they had this digital clock that went backwards to the time when they were going to get discharged. It was pretty cool. So him and his buddy got out. That was my oldest brother, who's passed away now, who was the only one in my family who taught me at the age of 17, taught me unconditional love. I'll never forget it. He was an amazing person. So, in conclusion, I try to look forward. I try not to dwell in the past and have a pity party about the things that could have been or didn't work out, and just try to learn from it. And I believe when you know better, you do better. So that's pretty much where I'm at now. Trying to stay active, keep the momentum going, trying to feel relevant despite my age. I just turned 65 last October. So I'm trying to remain active and keep my momentum going and do challenging things with my life. And I don't regret being in the military at all, despite the draft and all the other stuff that went on in there. So I don't regret it. The people I met, it was an amazing experience, and I got lucky. So that's my story. Thank you.